Okay. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the fourth session of our 10 session series that we are doing on different UiPath products. Till now, we have covered communications mining, document understanding, AI centers. Yesterday, we had on UiPath Insights as well. And the sessions are going really good. There is audience that is interacting, getting to know more about the product from the expert speakers that we have. And today is yet another session, which is not for developers, but for more for business users. But there's no harm if you are a developer and you can learn about these products as well. So today we are going to see how you can use UiPath Automation Hub, some of the common questions that comes during the product sessions that we are doing that can we use this in community? Can we use this in enterprise, cloud, on-prem? All that type of questions related to UiPath Automation Hub are going to get answered in the today's session. And our speaker is Nishi Singh. So without wasting any time, I'll just hand over the session to you, Nishi.
Thank you so much, Pat. Good evening, everyone. I'm Nishi Singh. I have close to 6 years of experience into RPA and currently working with Accelerate as automation technical lead. So in our today's session, we are going to cover UiPath Automation Hub. I will be sharing my screen. Let me know once it is visible.
Sure.
Is it visible?
Yes, Nishi, we can see.
Okay. So when we talk about automation hub, okay, so let's keep the definition aside for a moment and focus on the product name itself. Okay, so the product name automation hub is a combination of two words, automation and hub. Okay, so what is automation? Automation is task or set of steps which can be automated. Okay, and what is hub? Hub is an effective center of any activity. Okay. Here in this case, our activity is any automation. Okay. So when we talk about automation, automation cannot consist of just one single component. Definitely, it's going to have a lot of artifacts components within it. Okay. So what are all those components? So the first one is idea. Okay. So let's say I am working in a team. Okay. And then there are other people also who are working in other team or maybe part of my team as well. Okay. So they came up with certain idea. Okay. And they want to share it across the team and see whether how it is perceived, like whether the people are interested in that idea, whether that idea can we take it further for the automation or not. So in that case, what we can do is we can go with the automation hub and we can submit our ideas. Okay. Now, when it comes to the ideas submission, we can have different kinds of users. There could be user who know RPA very well, okay, or there could be user who who has just a basic understanding of RPA, or there could be user who doesn't know RPA at all. Okay, so there are different types or different ways in which we can submit idea in the automation hub. Okay, so the first point for the automation hub is all about submitting ideas. Okay, now the next is what else we can do in the automation hub. We can manage the automation pipeline. Okay, so when it comes to managing the automation pipeline, it generally consists of 5 views that we have in UiPath. That is all, review, decision, and implementation. Okay, now what is the all view in the automation pipeline? So in the all view, we can see all the ideas that has been submitted, irrespective of its phase and status. Okay. So any idea which gets submitted has a status and a phase associated with it, which we will be discussing in detail in our upcoming slide. But for now, we can say that irrespective of the phase and the status, the idea will be visible under the all tab. Okay. The next is review. Okay. So the automation idea, which are under the idea phase or the assessment phase, or even the business review or technical phase, will be visible under the review tab. Okay, that is the another tab. Now the third view, that is decision. Okay, so what does decision mean? Like having some outcome of the submitted idea. Okay, so let's say if an idea is in qualification phase or having a status as awaiting review or on hold, that means we are yet to receive some decision for the submitted idea. So all those ideas you will be able to see in the decision view. Okay, now the fourth one is implementation view. Okay, so in the implementation, you can see the ideas which are under the analysis, solution design, development, testing phase of the automation. Okay, and the fifth one is live. So once the automation idea has passed all the approval from the idea approver and has been implemented, you will be able to see under the live tab. Okay, so this is about the automation pipeline. Okay, now the third one is holding all the documentation associated with any automation. Okay, so when it comes to documentation, we can have PDD of a process, we can have STD of a process, or we can have a predefined template for PDD, STD. All those components we can store in our all that component we can store in our automation hub. Okay, so that is the another use or significance of using automation hub. Now, what else we can do? The fourth one is storing the reusable component. Okay, so when it comes to reusable component, the form can be anything. It can be some dashboard, it can be some custom activity, or it can be connectors, or it can be your designed end-to-end solution. Okay, so all these things you can store in the automation hub. So it gives you a central location where you can store each and everything associated with any automation, and it is helping you in managing the entire automation lifecycle and the management. Okay. Any questions until now? Any questions? Okay, I will take it as a no. Let's move to our next slide. Ideas. Okay. Am I audible, guys? Just wanted the confirmation.
Yes, Rishi.
Okay.
Yes, Miss.
Thank you. So the very first thing that we discussed about idea is the automation idea. Okay. So in Automation Hub, idea can be submitted in multiple ways. Okay. It could be employee-driven idea, or it could be COE-driven idea, or we can submit the idea directly through task mining or process mining. Okay. Now, what is the difference between the ways in which submitting idea to each one of them? Okay. So the idea, any idea has certain phases associated with it. Okay, so when we talk about employee driven idea has one additional stage associated with it as compared to COE driven idea. Okay, and the name of that phase is idea. Okay, so if any user submits an idea through employee driven idea, they need to provide very basic information about it. Okay, and based on that, it calculates the idea score of the automation, suitability of the automation, and readiness of the automation. Once it has calculated all these things, after getting the very limited amount of input from the user, it requires approval from the idea approver. Okay, and once idea approver approves the idea, then the user who has submitted the idea get an additional form to provide some additional details about the automation, so that the decision maker can decide whether they need to proceed further with the idea, or they can decide the prioritization of the idea, they can decide which automation to pick first. Okay, so that is about employee-driven idea. Now the next idea is COE-driven idea. Okay, so as I told before, we can have two types of users in any organization: people who know about RPA, people who don't know about RPA. Okay, so in COE-driven idea, we expect the people to know about RPA to some extent. Okay, so it could be your stakeholder, it could be your process expert, it could be your subject matter expert, it could be your business analyst or process owner. So all these people who are having in-depth understanding of the process and knows a bit about RPA, it's not mandatory for them to know about RPA, but they should have very good understanding of the process. So if they have the very good understanding of the process, they can go ahead and submit the COE driven idea. So the difference between employee driven and COE driven idea is, in COE driven idea, the idea does not have to go through the idea phase. Okay. It will directly go through the next phase of the automation, idea approval process. Okay. So that is the difference between the two. And also the form that we will get in employee driven idea and the form that we will get in COE driven idea is different. You can customize it. If you have admin access, you can customize it. But to be on a very high level overview, we will get like we will have to fill in depth detail if we are submitting a COE driven idea. Okay. Now the third one is submission through process mining. Okay. So let's say submission through process mining is generally done by the process analyst. So let's say someone is analyzing any process and they found that a certain step or certain task can be automated in a process, then they can submit a form directly from the process mining, and that will get reflected in the automation hub. Now, again, it will have to go through different phases of automation idea approval. And once it has approved and it goes to the implementation phase and it is live, the changes can get reflected back to the process mining. You can see the impact analysis back into the process mining. Okay. Same for the task mining. You can submit if you found that, okay, there are certain steps or process which can be automated, then you can submit those steps or process directly from the task mining and it will get reflected in the automation hub. Any questions? Okay, I will take it as a no. Now, we have discussed about phases and status in our first slide. We have also discussed about phases and status, the importance of it in our second slide as well. Okay, now let's discuss about it in detail. Okay, so here if you will see the employee driven idea. Okay, so it has an additional phase associated with it, which is idea. While if you will see the COE driven idea, it does not have this additional phase, which is idea. Okay, so it does not require approval from the idea approval. Okay, so it will directly go to the assessment phase. Okay, now when it comes to idea, what all we can have in idea? Okay, so let's say if a user has submitted the idea, then what the idea approver can do? Idea approver can approve the idea or reject the idea. Okay, the reason of rejection could be low ROI, or maybe it may not be the right candidate of the automation as it is having a lot of fuzzy logic within it. Okay, so because of that reason, the idea approver may reject it. Okay, then what else? What are the other cases that we can have in idea? Okay, so let's say if one user has submitted any idea and the other user has also submitted very similar kind of idea. So in that case, we can mark it as duplicate. Okay, and we can reject the idea. Okay, so that is all about idea in the employee-driven submission. Now, the next stage is assessment stage. Okay, So in the assessment stage, we try to understand the steps associated with the process in detail. Okay, and we try to identify that, okay, what are the steps which are in a scope? What are the steps which we should consider as out of this scope? What are the applications that we are going to use? Whether we will be able to automate it fully, or whether we should automate it partially, or whether we should follow like partially fragmented approach. So it's like depending on after accessing the idea in detail, we perform this. Okay, and also we can decide the technology that we are going to use for the automation. Okay, so this is about the assessment phase. Now the third one is qualification. Okay, so in the qualification phase, the major role involves decision makers prioritizing the automation based on the KPI that is calculated by the system. When I say system, yes, system means UiPath Automation Hub. Okay, it provides certain inputs, certain outputs based on the input that we have provided, and helps us in deciding that whether we should go with the automation or helps us in deciding the priority of the automation. Okay, so this is about qualification. Now, once the idea is approved and it has passed on for the implementation phase, so the implementation phase again has four stages with it. The first one is analysis, where the business analyst sits with the process owner and decide or analyze the steps, the detailed documentation of the steps that needs to be performed in order to complete the process. Okay. Now, the second one is solution design, where the solution architect, along with the business analyst, sits and decide the approach or the to be flow of the process. Okay. And the third one is development, where the automation developer develop the process end to end. Okay. And the fourth one is testing. And testing, we have majorly two types of testing, that is functional and UAT testing that we perform. Okay, this is the bare minimum that we do. So we ensure that whatever we have developed is performing as expected. And once we are sure, then we go with UAT. And once the process has completed the UAT phase, we go live with the process. Okay. So this is all about phases and status associated with any automation idea. Any questions over here?
So, Nishi, do we need to manually update the statuses in each phases, or it by default track from backend, like in which state that idea or that project currently it is?
So you will be able to see the status and phase of the project. You can update the status manually as well, and depending on the person who is going to approve it, like let's say if the idea has already been approved, then it will get passed on to the assessment phase. Okay, so you do have the option of updating it manually as well.
Okay, and do we add or upload some artifacts at each level of or each phases for like supporting documents or any test data or those kind of? Can we maintain it in this
Yes,
whole scope
definitely.
somewhere?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we can do it. We can store all kind of components that we have. Not only the documents, like even if you have some code snippet or even your end-to-end solution, everything you can add in the automation hub.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
So that will be on the project basis or the phases basis, the document updation and everything.
So there is a one particular tab for it which we call as component. So what you can do is that you can go ahead and you can add all your whatever the artifacts that is associated with the process, you can add it with. So if you will see over here, we will discuss this in detail over here. So you'll see we have like documentation over here where you can go ahead and you can add all the documentation associated with it. It's not limited to PTD, STD, even if you have any predefined templates that you want, like, when we proceed further with the automation stages, if you want a particular template to be used, even that also you can add in the documentation stage. And not only that, like you can add other components like your custom activity or your dashboards or your code snippet or your integrators, you can add it in.
Okay, so let's say we have so many people associated with the project, right? The BA or the solution architect or the developers, but we uploaded all of the documents, but they are not related to each and everyone. So can we restrict the access based on the documents?
Based on the documents, you cannot restrict that only this document only this user can use, but there's certain profile that you can create with which you can restrict the access to the documentation tab itself.
Okay. Okay, that means either all of the document will be visible to that particular profile or not, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other question? Okay. I will take it as a no. Okay. So once we submit the idea, an automation profile gets created for it, and that automation profile has several tabs associated. Okay, and the first one is about. Okay, so the first thing that exists in the about section is the information about the idea that has been submitted. Okay, also you can see the automation score for the for the readiness of it, for the suitability of it, or the idea score you can see in the about tab. Okay, and also you can have your media files, your benefits or challenges associated with the automation, and also you can add your lessons learned during the automation cycle. So again, it depends in which phase of the automation you are. Like you can come back and you can update this about section anytime you want. Okay, so let's say like once you have completed the automation and you identify that okay, these are the lessons that we have learned from this automation, so you can go ahead and you can update in the about section. Okay, now the next is cost benefit analysis. So cost benefit analysis is beneficial for the project manager, where they can go ahead and they can calculate the cost associated with implementing the idea using the information provided by the automation hub based on the input that user has added. Okay, they can decide whether what is the implementation cost that is associated with the process, and still they do have the option of keeping the idea on the hold, or taking it further based on the cost associated with the project implementation. Okay, and one thing over here is that the standard user will not have access to the cost benefit analysis. Okay, so only the project manager or the stakeholders, they will have access of the cost benefit analysis uh, uh, section. And also this cost benefit analysis is calculated based on a 2-year period. Okay, so whatever the information that we provide, it calculates it based on a 2-year period. So that was about cost benefit analysis. Now the next is documentation. Okay, so in the documentation, what we can do is we can add the documents directly into the automation hub. And not only the document, we can also embed the links associated with a particular document. So let's say you have added it to a SharePoint repository, and you can, but still you want to ensure that, okay, people can access those documents. You can add a link over here in the documentation section, and people can go ahead and people can access it. Okay. Now the fourth is components. Okay, so what are components? Components can be anything. Okay, components is not just limited to custom activity. It can be any reusable component. Okay, so it could be your connectors. Okay, Now, connectors could be a connector that is connecting it with an application or a connector that is connecting with a data source. Okay, you can have your custom activity. You can have your dashboard that is designed using Kibana or Elasticsearch. And also you can have your end-to-end solution added under the component section. Okay, there are many more that we can do. So these are just a few of them. Now the next is collaborative. Okay, so once you submit an idea, okay, you can add people, other users as a collaborator. Okay, so what they can do is they can add their comments or inputs into the submitted idea. Okay, or say if they want to add any components to the existing or the to the submitted idea, then they can go ahead and they can do it. There are many more things that can do. So, but again, it depends on the kind of access that you have provided to them. Okay. Now the sixth is change request. Okay. So when it comes to change request, let's say if you have an idea, okay, and you have already submitted it, but you want to do certain changes to it. Okay, so you can do that by creating a change request. So in the similar manner, like as we submit any idea, in the similar manner, we can submit a change request as well. Okay. And under the history section, you can keep track of the changes made to the automation idea. If someone has added any comment or any whatever like stages it has passed on, you can track all those things under the history section of it. Any questions over here? Okay, I will take it as an. Now workspace. Okay, so Automation Hub has many options associated with it, but workspace is one of them. Okay, so we have like automation pipeline, and automation pipeline has different views associated with it, which we have discussed. And what you can see in the automation pipeline is all the ideas submitted under the tenant, except the one which are having the status as draft. Okay. Now the next is my submission. So under my submission, you can see all your listed ideas, including the one which are having status as draft. Then third one is my collaboration. So let's say if someone has added any idea and added you as a collaborator, then you can see all those ideas under my collaborations. And then my components. Okay, so whatever components you have added, you can see under the my components section. Components means again custom activity dashboard or your solution, anything that you have added, you will be able to see under my component section, and you can even add and you can also download from there. Okay, so that is the another thing. And the fifth one is following. So let's say someone has any someone has submitted any idea and you want to keep track of the status or you like the idea, then what you can do is you can follow that idea. Okay. Now, the next thing that we are going to do is we will submit a COE driven idea and we will go through each and every important point that is there in the that is required while submitting the COE driven idea. Okay. So can you guys see the automation hub?
Yes.
Okay. But before we go to the automation hub, first we will discuss how we can activate the automation hub in our enterprise as well as in our community edition. Okay. So the first thing is in your community edition, you won't get automation hub. Okay. But there is another way using which you can have access of the automation hub without having any additional cost for the training purpose. That is what you can do is that you can request for the enterprise studio pro trial enterprise activation. Okay, so once you will request for that, I do not have option for it currently as I already have activated it, but you will get the option under the home section. You will get the option to activate the enterprise. Like here you can see it's written 60 days left. In the similar manner, you can get an option over here to activate the enterprise. Once you will request for it, you need to fill a form with certain details, and then your cloud account will get refreshed, and then you will have the access of the services. But you got the access of the service, but the next step is to enable that service. Okay. So for that, what you need to do is you need to go to admin section. Okay. You need to go under your specific tenant. You need to go to services, and then you need to enable the automation hub from here. Okay. So once you will enable the automation hub, it will get reflected over here, or even you can access it from here as well. Okay. Any questions around this? How to activate automation hub? Okay, I will take it as a no. Now, when it comes to submission of idea, you need to click on this submit idea tab. Okay. And then you need to specify the business area. Okay. So let's say if I am going to submit an idea around purchase order processing, I will choose finance and accounting. Okay. I will choose order of reception. Okay. And it's not mandatory to define category and subcategory, but you can define it, but it's mandatory to define the business area. Okay. Now, once you have submitted the idea, you will get 4 different options: employee driven idea, COE driven idea, citizen developer automation, and change request. Okay. So for now, we'll go with the COE driven idea. We'll click on next. So it has basically 2 phases with it. One is overview, where you provide the automation detail, and the second one is detailed assessment, where you define, like, each and every factor that is associated with your automation, like the number of users that is associated in performing the process, the number of hours that they are taking to complete the process. Everything you need to define over here, and based on that, you will get the some predefined KPI from the automation hub, which helps the decision maker in deciding whether we should go with the whether we should pass on the automation to the next stage or not. Okay, so let's come over here and process the basic detail. So I will give it a name, let's say purchase order processing. You need to provide a description. Okay. Okay, so I've just given a description to it. What is the process that I'm going to define? Now the next thing is pain points. Okay, so what are the pain points that is associated with it, with the process? So like, let's say we are talking about a purchase order processing. It could be like we are dealing with very high volume of the purchase order, or it could be, like inaccuracy in getting the data points, which is further resulting in compliance issue. Okay, so what we can do is that high volume, we can write high volume compliance issue, delay in processing. So what is the negative impact that it's creating? Okay, because we are receiving very high volume, then what is the negative impact that it's causing? Okay, So what we can do is that we can write over here as we can even what we can do is we can pick up this delay in processing from here and we can add it to the negative impact. Decrease in customer satisfaction. So this is about the about section of the idea that we are going to submit for a COE driven idea. Now, when it comes to the detailed assessment, there are again certain steps that we need to perform or certain options that we need to fill in. Okay, so primary reason to automate the process. There could be various driving factors to automate any process. Here we have three predefined driving factors, which is cost, quality, and productivity. Okay, so what we can do is we can go with the productivity in our case, as the major concern is the delay in the processing and the high volume that we are receiving. So we'll go with the productivity. Can we expect any process change in next 3 months or 6 months? Okay, so you can decide whether any change is expected, minor change or some change, several change or major changes are expected. Okay, so for now I will go with the no changes expected. Okay. Now, when it comes to application changes expected in next 6 months, I can like again you will get several options. You can write maybe like in this case I will go with the minor change expected, and I will add the comment as Outlook update. Okay, which may not have like several like severe impact on the process. Okay. Now, when it comes to defining the employee profile, so here we define the working days, average working days per year of the employee, then working hours per day and average employee full cost per year. Okay, so we'll write as 300, working hours, let's say 8, and cost per year, let's say $10,000. Okay. Now the next is process volumetry. Okay. So here we have task or process frequency. So how frequent the process takes place, whether it's going to happen daily or weekly or bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly. So we'll go with daily. So average volume of it. So we'll go with per employee. And then the number of employees performing the task, let's say 3. And average processing time per transaction, let's say 15 minutes. Okay. Then the error rate, let's say 10%. And the rework time, like let's say we can call it as 5 minutes. Okay, so you need to provide all the details if you are going with the COE driven idea, while you don't need to fill in the in-depth detail if you are going with the employee driven idea. So average work that is reviewed and audited, so we can see like let's say 30% of it, and audit time per transaction is 5 minutes. Okay. So what are the peak hours associated with the process? So it's regular or rare but predictable event, or rare but unpredictable event, or there are no peak hours. So you can we can go with the regular. Okay, average number of steps, let's say 20 to 50 steps. Number of ways to complete the process. So there are like let's say 3 ways in which we can complete the process, so greater than 2 but less than 5. Okay. So do we have a scanned input? Let's say like we are just dealing with native PDF, so we'll go with the no in this case. Percentage of digital input, let's say 95%. And the structured input that we are getting in this case is greater than 80%. Okay. So based on the information that we have provided, you can see the assessment KPI, all the fields, which is automation potential, ease of implementation, benefits per company in the form of hours or in the form of currency or FTEs, like everything you will be able to see over here, which got populated automatically. Okay. Now the next thing is you will assign a process owner to it. Okay, so currently I am the only user associated with it, so I will just assign it to myself and I will submit it. Okay. Okay, we need to define the application associated with it. So here we will define Adobe as the application that is required. What else is the application that we can use? So for now, as it's just purchase order, we'll go with the Adobe only. And let's try to submit it again. Okay. Yes. So once the idea is submitted, you will see the additional sections which will get created for the automation ID. Any questions over here? Whatever we have discussed so far, any questions until now?
Yep, Nishi, just one. So this data that we have inserted right now in our automation hub, this particular thing would be further used in insights to build the whole dashboard thing and calculate our ROI.
No, automation hub, there is like, so far, like what I am aware of, there is no direct integration of the data that we are providing to the UiPath insights. Okay. But depending on, like, you can create your own dashboard into the insights.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just the insight is or the graph is limited to the KPI that it calculates. So you can see that. But so far I'm not aware of, but I can just look into it if there is any direct integration of Automation Hub with insights.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. So here you will see an automation ID automatically got generated, and it has like all the details that we have provided. Okay, under the about section, then we have cost benefit analysis where we can see the calculated KPIs and what is the benefit that we are going to get if we are going to automate this process. Then we have the documentation stage where we can go ahead and we can submit our documents. It could be your PDD, it could be your STD, or it could be your templates of PDD, STD, or the output that we have received out of the task capture. We can add that as well. Okay, under the documentation section. Then we have components. So here you will see under the add components, you can add your components. But before doing that, before adding any components over here, what you will have to do is first you need to ensure that you are uploading your component into the automation hub. Okay. So how you can do it? You can go to under workspace section, you can go to my components. Okay. Once you will go to my components, what you can do is you can go to upload component and you will have to provide certain information for it, which is name, summary, description of it, and then the component type. Okay, so this is what I was telling about before. So you can add your custom activity, your NuGet package, you can add a code snippet. So if you think that, okay, there is a part of the code which is reusable and which so you can add that code snippet into it, and the user can directly download it and they can drag it into their UiPath workflow. Okay. And if there is any template which you have designed, like let's say there is a, like we have ID framework, but you have done certain customization to it, and you want like the developer who is going to develop the process to use them, so you can add that workflow template as well. So we do have the option of connectors as well, where you can have your connectors in the form of like connecting it with an application, or the connector which is connecting it with the any data source. Okay. Then we have the dashboard as well. The dashboard that is designed using Elasticsearch or Kibana, or you can have your machine learning model as well added over here. Or also you can add your end-to-end design solution. So let's say like you have completed your whole automation cycle, okay, and the project is live. So what you can do is you can add this under the solution section. Okay. Now you need to specify the business area. Okay, what is the business area under which your reusable component is applicable? Okay, you need to specify the application that you have used in the process, whether it is a thin client or not. Once you will specify the application, you also need to choose, like let's say if it is using Citrix or any other thin client, then you need to check that box as well. Okay. And then you need to define the benefits, the dependencies associated with the uh, component that you have added, okay, and the compatibility. So when it comes to compatibility, it means the studio version that you have used to design it, okay, and all these fields are mandatory. When it comes to upload, what you need to do is that when it comes to component upload, there are two things that you need to provide. The first one is the file upload. That is your NuGet package that you have defined. The second one is the source code associated with it. Okay. So you will have to add both of them over here, the NuGet package as well as the source code. Now, once you have done that, you need to specify the version for it and the release mode. So what is the significance of the component that you have added, or if like let's say you already have added the component but you are adding a new version of it, so you need to provide like what are the changes that you have done into it, and you need to add it with a new version. So all this we can do over here. Okay. Now the fifth tab is collaborators. Okay. So let's say like I have added any idea. Okay. And I think the idea is relevant to the to my other team members as well. So I can add them as a collaborator. What they can do is that they can go ahead and they can see the input that I have provided, and they can add their comments. They can update it depending on their privileges. Okay. Now the sixth is change request. So let's say if someone submits the change request, if an idea is already implemented, or whatever the idea has been approved, there are certain changes that is required to it. So you can add all those under the change request, and we submit the change request in the similar manner as we submit any idea. And the last one is history, where you can see everything, whether someone has submitted the idea, what is the current stage that it is on, it has passed on like how many stages. Okay, so all these things you can see under the history section. Okay, and also you can change your phase and status anytime. So like let's say currently it is in awaiting review phase, but if you want to change it to a different phase, you can do that as well. So that's all about Automation Hub from my side. If you guys have any questions, please let me know.
Yeah, thank you for Nishi for insightful session. Just one query. Can we integrate other applications or tools of UiPath into this, like process mining or some others?
Yeah, so when it comes to process mining and task mining, there is a direct integration of process mining with the automation hub. So let's say if you have submitted any idea through process mining to automation hub, okay, and once it has passed all these stages of the implementation, then you will be able to see its impact analysis getting reflected back into the process mining. Similarly for the task mining as well.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so Harshit is saying that we can integrate Automation Hub with Insights. That is great. I need to explore a bit on that. Okay, so thank you so much, guys, for joining the today's session.
Thank you for the wonderful session.
Thank you, Nishi.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice
Thank you,
day.
Nishi.
Thank you, everyone.